an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. Let's go. I'm just telling you to fight for your dreams, but it's not what it seems. Man, it's hard to be seen when everybody wants to be king. Yeah, they all want to ring. Yeah, we all want to be free.
Folks, we are live here on YouTube and Facebook. Wasn't going to be on YouTube. I didn't realize it right before it went live, so we had to put it in there. And we got the Ant-Man here. What's up, Ant-Man?
Hey, I'm doing good, thanks, Mike. Just eagerly awaiting all these roster cuts, seeing what the team who's going to win the next Super Bowl is going to look like for this upcoming season.
Well, look, if you thought that Nate Sudfeld was going to get a Super Bowl ring, you would be wrong right now because he was released, Ant-Man, from the Detroit Lions. Released! Shocker. Thoughts on it?
I know how happy it's made you, and that makes me happy, vicariously. I thought about you when I saw the news, and I thought somewhere Mike's going to be running down the street with his top off, shouting at the top of his voice, like, finally, it's over. I knew you would.
Oh, I did my 53 prediction yesterday. I had him as QB2, and I'm so happy to be wrong. So he didn't deserve to make the roster. And look, I know it's a sad day for players who getting cut, but it would have been sadder if he made the roster and somebody who probably deserved it didn't. That's the way that I see it, right? And so, look, he can come back to the practice squad. That's cool. I don't care, but he's not the backup quarterback right now. He is not. That's Hendon Hooker at the moment.
Yeah, it makes sense as well. For us, it's really good that we're only taking two quarterbacks because now it means we can give a valuable roster position to somewhere else that needs it, either whether we go more depth for the offensive line or whether we keep the plethora of talented DBs that we've got this year. Like if Lawrence Strickland or Brandon Joseph gets this roster spot instead of Nate Sudfeld, then that's a good day. It just means we're taking even better depth forward into the season and not risking losing any of these guys to the waiver wire. Because let's face it, no one's going to take Nate Sudfeld. He's just going to walder on through to the practice squad, which is fine. So keeping more talent, keeping him away, that's all good for us.
Yeah, I have no word on Jake Fromm yet. But I got to say, man, I was impressed with his couple drives that he did. I really was. And I thought, he could be a candidate for the practice squad. A young player who shown something, in my opinion. What do you think about him?
He looked good, didn't he? I think for some of these players, unfortunately, it was just they didn't have quite enough time. Jake Fromm is one of those. You feel like if he was here a month ago and he'd had all of preseason and some of training camp as well, that he might have had a legit shot. Maybe he might have made the 53 as a third QB. Who knows? Like Ty Summers as well at linebacker has been incredibly good over a really short period of time. You feel if he'd have had a bit longer, maybe he'd have cracked the squad. And the same is true for many of these guys. But, again, it's quite positive for us. I think we're going to have an incredibly strong practice squad when this is said and done, as well as the first 53. So, yeah, in Fromm's case, I would like to see him be the one there. We know what Sudfeld is. He's got a ceiling. We don't quite know what Fromm's ceiling is yet. Take the unknown with the QB3 and see what you've got with him. You'd feel comfortable bringing him up in relief.
I would look, the guy had no practice, and he looked like he's been there before. Like, imagine if you just give him some practice. I think he could be a quarterback that you could develop on the practice squad. Nothing wrong with that. And I don't think he should make the roster, the 53, Jake Fromm, right at this moment. But you're right. I think his ceiling is higher than a Sudfeld. Throw him on a practice squad. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Let him develop. Hendon Hooker, look, he had ups and downs in preseason, but clearly everybody knows, even Sudfeld's parents know, that the ceiling of Hendon Hooker is much higher than Sudfeld, right? And so that's why he's going to be on this roster. And look, do I think he is perfect right now for QB2? I think he's got a little bit more developing to do. but I'm fine with that. I'll take that all day. At least there's something that you can look forward to. He's got legs, right? He could develop into a passer once he gets more reps, and he is just doing more. He's going to get better. We've seen Hooker go up, right? Is he going to be QB2 throughout the season? Yet to be seen, but I'm fine with this. 100% fine with the Nate Sudfeld release and fine with the move.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what Hooker needs is reps. Like at this point, if you're lucky enough, especially we've got three out of 4 games at home, to start the season off. If in a couple of those games you're winning handsomely, come the fourth quarter, you're able to put him in, give him some live reps because he's your QB2. That's what he needs. That's the only way he's going to get better. And the same goes for like a lot of these second-year rookies. We talk about Colby Sorsdal, we talk about Broderick Martin, we talk about guys like this. There's so much you can do in training, but you've got to get the live reps to go with it to help your development. So it's the right call to make with Hooker. Hopefully we have a couple of blowouts where we can bring him in, get him acclimated to the NFL a bit. Because that's how he will get better. He will not get better sat on the practice squad or as a QB3 or something like that.
He won't make it to the practice squad. He'll be picked up.
But he wouldn't, if he's QB3 and you're giving Sudfeld reps, that does no good for Hendon Hooker.
No good.
He needs to be playing reps. So that's the right decision by the team here. Absolutely the right decision, and we will see benefits from it.
I'm very happy they made the decision. I really didn't believe they were going to do this, Ant-Man. I truly believe that he was going to be QB2, and so I'm shocked in a great way. And a player like Ty Summers, who I thought did great in his final preseason showing, he showed a lot. I'd rather give a spot to him instead of a Sudfeld, and that's why. Oh, why are you so happy about this? Well, because it's going to give another player an opportunity to deserve to be on this roster that deserved to be on this roster. Like at Ty Summers, he played. He's a good player, right? He deserved probably to be on this roster compared to a Sudfeld. That's why I'm happy about it. And Sudfeld is not going to be QB2. He just doesn't deserve to be it. He doesn't. Absolutely does not. We've seen nothing to show what he can do. So I'm very, very happy about that. When it comes to this roster now, Ant-Man, I have no one. Look, they released Donovan Peoples-Jones. I didn't think he deserved to make it. So far, that's on this roster and who they cut, I'm happy with. I don't even know everybody making the team right now. But they did the right decision with Nate Sudfeld. That was the biggest decision. The rest, I can work with, man. I can work with it. I just couldn't work with Sudfeld.
No, I get you. And, I think we'll see a lot of these guys back for sure. Like, we've had the linebackers have been really good. Like I said, I would expect to see Bo Plan back, Ty Summers back, guys like that come back. So overall, I'm with you. I'm not really shocked by it. The one that hurt me the most was Stephen Gilmore. I was ready for Gilly to make the roster, and I hope he goes out and finds himself a team now, because I think he's ready to be on someone's depth chart somewhere and get meaningful time in the NFL. If it can't be with us, I'd rather it be with someone else. But that just goes to show our strength of depth at the cornerback position that, he didn't make it. I think he'd make quite a few rosters. But I think overall, apart from that, it's tough, but there's nothing that I really am truly shocked by. And I don't think there will be. I think there'll be 3-4 positions still to sort out. But yeah, I'm not shocked by any. But yeah, not going 3 quarterbacks. I think we'll go the extra offensive lineman now. I genuinely do. And I think that would be the right call if we did.
Let me know in the comment section right now. Do you agree with the release of Sudfeld? Y for yes or N for no? I think there's going to be a lot of Ys. Who do you guys think should sign? Allen Robinson, Tim Patrick, or Noah Brown? Well, I know Allen Robinson's not going to be waiver wired, but Tim Patrick, I think he's a waiver wire, right? So if he is a waiver wire, then you'd have to wait to see what other teams do. Some of these guys, you're just going to have to wait. I'll wait till every player, until all the teams are set at 53 to make a decision, because we don't fully know who's going to be on the market at wide receiver. What do you think about wide receiver 4?
Noah Brown won't make it through waivers. I'm pretty confident that's not going to happen. Tim Patrick, coming off 2 serious injuries, you just worry about that injury history with him and what he can be. As for Allen Robinson is a bum. I'm sorry. He's lazy. I mean, we saw Chicago got rid of him because his run block, he let Fields get killed on a run because he just can't be bothered to block. His best days are way behind him. Brad Holmes said no to him once already, and he's just getting chucked around now like an office toy. And I don't want anything to do with him. I'm with you, Mike. Keep waiting to see who comes on the roster and go with that, but none of them for various reasons.
#FGB, were you all surprised by Donovan Peoples-Jones being cut? No, not at all. He showed absolutely nothing in the moment that I felt like his doom was his roster, was Isaiah Williams was telling him where to line up. And then he didn't even know, and they had to call timeout. When a veteran is getting told by an undrafted rookie where to line up, that is the end of your career as a Detroit Lion. That should never happen, man. And he didn't do anything. How does an undrafted guy know where you need to be and you don't know where you need to be and you're 25 veteran?
Yeah, exactly. Like when we did our rosters last week, I put him on because, he's one of those players, isn't he, that you just consistently maintain the hope that they can be what they once were. And you just, despite all the evidence telling you otherwise, you're like, maybe this time he'll be that guy. And he hasn't been. And that last game kind of just proved it's just like, no. Like, Caden Davis has played really well. Isaiah Williams has played really well. Even Maurice Alexander, apart from his fumbles on returning, has played really well. And he hasn't. Like, some of these guys are going to go down to the CFL, UFL, whatever, and they did better than him. That tells you everything you need to know. I wasn't shocked in the slightest. Him and Traquan Smith have been two massive disappointments given their NFL experience.
Okay, impressed. That's funny. It's probably the truth. That's exactly what he's saying right there. Do you think that Hooker has a chance to be QB1 in the next few years in Detroit? No, because we just paid Jared Goff, and Jared Goff's the quarterback. Now, if we were to trade him in a couple years, he could be probably for another team, but I definitely don't see it happening here. I mean, and he still needs development, and that's going to take a couple years. See who will trade next before the 4 p.m. I don't know. Who will be traded next before 4 p.m.? Who do you think will be traded? Do you got to guess? I don't know.
From us?
I don't know. I don't know for us or anybody else. It's usually a low-end roster, so it's like really difficult to ever tell. Like,
the only one I'd think about doing, that's why I'd take Isaiah Williams with us, because if you take him, then he becomes trade bait because he's a young undrafted guy who's shown that he's got what it takes. And if someone's looking to get a vet off thrust, if you want to go for someone like Mechie or someone like that, then and you can use him to minimize the draft capital you send, then maybe something like that. But I don't think we're going to trade players away. If we're going to trade in, I think it would be a receiver. I'm pretty certain it'd be a receiver that we trade for at this point, but I don't know who, because a lot of people that we don't know about will be on the block at the minute as well, and lots of teams will not be able to find room for these guys. They'll give them first dibs. So, yeah, it's hard to say.
He says, I believe Goff has a no-trade clause. I don't know if he does or does not, but he's not getting traded from here. So that's all I can tell you, that is not going to happen.
I think Hooker's best scenario would be playing as backup throughout Jared Goff's entire contract still here. Then he'd be, about 30, something like that. And then when Jared's contract's done, and if we then move on from him and draft a new guy, like Hooker be the bridge to the new guy, from Goff to the new guy, and you've got a potential starter who can be there for a year or two whilst you're doing that. I think that would be the route he'd take if Jared Goff stays healthy and if everything goes to plan. Personally.
#Smash Holes from Devin Davis. What is the cap right now for the year? Do we even have enough cap to pick up? Yeah, we got 33 million. We got 5th best cap in the NFL. We got the 5th best cap in the NFL, and that was a big old sneeze. So if they wanted to, they absolutely can do that. I'm not saying they're gonna. I don't know what they're gonna do. I have no indication. Do I think they pick up a wide receiver? Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be from cuts or a low-end trade or something, but they got the money to do it, Ant-Man. They definitely do.
Yeah, that's what the money's there for. I do believe it's there. There's some put aside, plenty put aside for if we need it during the season or if we need it to start the season. I've always been of the impression that it's going to be used a bit more towards the trade deadline when, a lot of these guys on our periphery, a lot of guys we want to see get game time first, have a chance to show their thing, and they can evaluate the team a bit stronger. Like the edge positions, if we're in desperate need of an edge come the deadline, I expect us to be right in the market for the Premier guys, whoever might be on there. But at the moment, I think with all the sort of noise about receiver and that, and with plenty of guys potentially been on the line, they may come a bit. They may do it a bit sooner than I anticipated. For the depth receiver positions, anyhow, for starters, if you're going to trade for big guys, they will wait till closer to the deadline. But that's what that money, I believe, is there for, if we need to, because we're in a window now, right, Mike? And windows close, and next year Jared Goff might get hurt or something. Like, you never know. So while you're in the moment, you've got to have a little bit of a contingency backup, and that'll be what that money's for.
Salty says, why trade for Mechie if the Texans release Noah Brown's bigger, more experience? He was just saying as an example. He's not saying he was going to trade for him. He's just using an example of a wide receiver. He's just used him as an example. He's not saying the line's going to trade. We don't know. We have no idea what they're going to do. And anybody that tells you they know what they're going to do and they're not Brad Holmes or Dan Campbell or lying to you, we have no idea. We've tried to figure out, trust me, we have a feed and there's no information. And it's just, they keep things so tight-lipped in that organization for the Lions. It's hard to figure out.
And to give a theoretical answer to that, Noah Brown's going to go through waivers, so you're not guaranteed to get him. He probably doesn't even get to Detroit. True. So, yeah.
And we got, oh my God, speak easy, baby.
What up, man?
Hey, we got the greatest, the greatest guy I've ever met with a credit card in my entire life, and his name is Speakeasy Baby. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I am doing good. I don't know if you guys talked about, but the Nate Sudfeld stuff. I was in public and I had to reserve myself. I was like, let's go.
I heard it and I literally jumped in the air, and then I went on Facebook and tweeted out that Sudfeld's been released. It's one of the greatest moments of my entire life. I can't lie.
Honestly, it was amazing. And like, no disrespect to Nate Sudfeld. Thank you for your services. It made no sense to keep him. It made zero sense. So let's go Lions.
Well, if people get mad, well, you're talking about Sudfeld being released and that's being cool. Well, it means that a player who potentially could have made the team, if he would have made the team, doesn't make the team, like a Ty Summers or somebody else, right? So I just want the best 53, and clearly Sudfeld is not the best of the 53. Does he make a UFL team? Probably not.
But no, you made a great point. Like, it's the best 53, and like reserving him, having him as a reserve spot made no sense to like say that the situation between like Houston and Uku, even if you want to throw bets in there too, like I'd rather keep two of those guys versus just one, So and Sudfeld just being a reserve guy who didn't produce much versus what you saw of Hooker, it made no sense to keep him. And listen, man, this regime just makes the right decisions after right decisions. So it's another W for the Detroit Lions.
Another W, man. It's hard for me now to even get angry about the 53-man roster. The one person that didn't want it is not on it. I'm pretty happy. What do you think about wide receiver, man? You're in there. You in the know. What are you thinking about wide receiver? Do they make a move? Or are they just going to pick up a guy from waivers? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think we got kind of blessed with the waivers today, man. I was very surprised. And we had the 29th in waivers, but if you're a guy that's been in the league for 4+ years, you're immediately a free agent because you're a veteran at that point. So you're allowed to pick your destination versus, waiver wire. You might end up somewhere you don't want to be, So there's a guy named Noah Brown that's playing for the Texans, had like 500-something yards last year, who looks very good. He's 6'2", so he's that bigger body frame that you want a DPJ or maybe a Darius Fountain to be. He's been in the year 4+ years, officially released from the Houston Texans. You might not have to give up assets to make a trade. I would go knock on that guy's door and sign him immediately.
What do you think about Noah Brown? If he's 4 years, if he's a free agent, that's a great move. Then no waiver wire.
W, we got to do that one. I would love that.
And man, what do you think about going that route? He is not going to be in the waiver wire.
No, then you go in and get him, don't you? Go out, make that addition, try and make this roster as good as you can. They say we may have been blessed by guys who've been released. A lot of talent has been released, so hopefully there's enough to fill everybody's needs as they were. And if we could get him, then that'd be amazing. Like, just having him fall into your lap would be wonderful.
Oh, for sure, man. It would be great. And the Lions got options, Speakeasy. They definitely do.
Yeah.
Do you think they make a trade, or do you think that they just pick up like a Noah Brown? Like, what do you think the Lions going to do? Not what Speakeasy wants to do.
Yeah.
What does your gut tell you?
I think if you're just being wise with your assets, it makes sense to go grab Noah Brown. Before Noah Brown got cut, I didn't think he was going to get cut. I thought he was really good for them last year. I was kind of surprised he got cut, but I forgot how stacked that room is over there in Houston. Like, you go sign him. It would make sense for you to get rid of assets to acquire someone who's going to be your wide receiver 3, maybe even 4, because you have Khalif Raymond. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it would make sense to depart with future draft picks. We're already kind of limited next year, because don't forget, we gave up a 3rd for Terry and Arnold, and we gave up a 4th. No, I think we gave up a 3rd for Manu. We already had stashed 3rds for Terrion and Carlton Davis. So, yeah, we're already kind of missing a few pieces because we got aggressive there in the back half of that draft. Don't trade. Go sign Noah Brown. Do the right thing.
Do the right thing, he says. Sign Noah Brown. That's the route that Mr. Speakeasy wants to do. Where can they find you on Twitter? I know you got great Speakeasy there. What about your Facebook? You do some really funny stuff that I appreciate.
It's at Speakeasy Sports _ on Twitter. On X. X is the only other place give me a check right now. So, yeah, follow me on X.
Make sure you help him out and get that check. It's really important to get that money, and that's what it's all about. He does a lot of funny stuff. I laugh my tail off. He did something the other day, and I said he would definitely not put a credit card in that woman's area, and because we had a joke at training camp about dropping credit cards because you get into VIPs. So
Yes.
very, very funny right there. When you look, who do you think else is going to get released that maybe we not expect?
So I just got home. Let me see who's not already. I guess a surprise cut. I thought Zylstra, I believe I thought that was a little bit of a surprise cut, especially because we didn't really have an answer at the time for that 3rd wide receiver. I know again, Khalif, yes, but you heard Dan Campbell say it himself. He's a bit gadgety. So I think they really want like a bigger body guy for like red zone or just to go on the outside, win some big down the field stuff. A surprise cut for me would be that I expect or that I could see happening.
That you could see happening. So rhymes with Bames Buston.
I was there yesterday. I had that thought yesterday as something that could happen. Today, not so much. We kind of talked about it on the show yesterday. Dan Campbell said what he had to say after that game, and none of it sounded good. But I don't think Dan Campbell will be the player's coach that he is, being like I don't mean this in like a negative way, the sweetheart that he is. I mean, he's a good guy. I don't think he'd say those things with the intentions of cutting him. That's just kind of like twist of the knife. So I think that he said it more as motivation. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you just made it by the skin of your teeth. You better bust your ass. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of thing. Because he tends to do that. Last year with Jameson Williams, remember he said, he's never going to have, elite top 5 hands in the league. But, he's a good receiver. Like, he puts stuff in the back of your head. He just plants the seed. And he's a good leader like that. Because at that point, he makes you accountable to that goal. Instead of him telling you, saying, hey, you got to do this. He's planting the seed, you hearing it through media or whatever else. And then now it's up to you. Just bust your ass and prove him wrong.
I do believe that the problem is probably making this team. I do believe so. What do you think about James Houston there, man?
I think James Houston is going to be absolutely fine. I think it's been complete. I think his position on the roster and maybe it been in danger. I think it's been overblown. For me, you look at him and he's the best pure pass rusher we got outside of Aiden Hutchinson. His ability to get to the quarterback is unmatched by any of these other guys who've been in this room, and you've got to give him time to develop. Like, let's not forget, his NFL career so far was, half a season on the practice squad. He had his half a season when he came up, played really well, and then he got hurt. He's played 42 snaps since he got hurt. That is literally it. And he is a 6th-round rookie who has played half a season and a handful of snaps in one season, and everyone's like, oh, he can't defend the run. Oh, my God, he can't play as a Sam linebacker. He can't do all this. He can't do all that. It's like, well, what the hell do you expect? He's not played that much. He's a late day 3 pick who needs time to develop. He needs game reps to develop. Say with all these other guys, you only get truly better when you're on the field playing football. And he's just not had the ability to do that. And this messing around with him, trying to play him at Sam and everything, that's just getting in the way. You've heard with so many players now, it's bugging them. With Pascal, like his development's been stunted by them trying to play him inside and outside. Just let these guys go to the positions they're meant to be in. Let them cook. In James Houston's case, he's going to be fine. You know, he'll be in the rotation, give him game snaps, let him grow, let him accustamize to the NFL, because we've seen what he can do, and letting him go would be stupid, especially for the likes of like a Mitchell Agude or a Matthew Betts. With all due respect to them, they don't have his God-given talent and what he can do on a football field. So if this time next year, if he's healthy all season and he doesn't show much progress and he's struggling, then by all means. But right now, no, it'd be silly. We've got to give him an opportunity.
Thoughts on Hendon Hooker? He's going to be QB2 as of right now. Speak easy. I know that, you know, he's a controversial figure, and I love your smile on your face right now. It's making me happy because I already know what you're smiling about. But thoughts on Hendon Hooker now being QB2?
I love the pick. I love the situation he was coming into. Where he had that year. Hopefully, I mean, he didn't come back as early as I wanted him to last year, but he's in a situation where he can develop. And as your QB2, I think he proved like he's the guy that's going to win you a game. Like Sudfeld may know the offense better because he was in action in the practice. No, he actually got hurt last year too. He was there for you previously, maybe. I don't know. But he had maybe no more with the X and O's, but he just didn't execute, you know, and he just couldn't do it brilliant. He really couldn't. And even when Hendon Hooker doesn't execute, he has the threat of just running, just taking off. And he made that work with the third string offense. Imagine what he's doing with that first team offensive line, you know, in a situation obviously where we need him. We're obviously not forcing his hand or anything like that, but just I think there's a lot of potential with Hendon Hooker still, and
ton of potential. His ceiling is high. Like
Yeah.
I don't think he's a perfect product right now by any stretch of the imagination, but you know where his ceiling can be, the potential, and I think that's much higher than Sudfeld, where you couldn't even execute.
Yep.
He literally would go on the field and be like, It was crazy to see. So that's why I was laughing, because he can't even execute an NFL quarterback at that range. So it's nice that we're having there. What about Jake Bates? Thoughts on Mr. Bates?
Yeah, man, that guy, you just have to have confidence in him, because it's what's weird to me is that this entire regime from Brad Holmes to Dan Campbell, they always read the competition, and that's the foundation of America. All right, the competition. The capitalism, just competing, seeing who's better, who comes out on top. They never brought that in for Jake Bates. They just gave him the job. I don't know if it was a confidence thing for him or what it may have been, but you know, for a team that preaches that, they didn't bring a single soul in for a guy that felt like he was, I don't want to say struggling, but inconsistent at times. And that to me gives me confidence as a fan as well, and also just what he can do with the leg power. You know, that's hard to come by. And you know, looking at his rate. And was it the UFL he was in? It was the exact same as Badgley. I believe it was like 87%, if I'm not mistaken. Like they were identical. So he's going to miss some. I think we should just know that, maybe brace ourselves and expect that, especially in the first half of that season. But he's also going to make some of them that you're going to need, like those clutch moments, like in a late game situation, and you're 60 yards in a 3-point game. He could do that for you. Versus Badgley, you're cooked, you know, and you at least have
you're
that.
You're going to go
that
for it
shot.
on 4th down or punt.
Exactly. So I'm fine with it, honestly. If something pops up, obviously I want to sign somebody, but I'm fine with Bates if they are.
For sure. Ant-Man, we talk about Bates. What do you think he brings with the kickoff? Do you think are they going to continue to do kickoffs? Do you think that maybe they'll do somehow Jack Fox, because he was having some issues there?
I mean, this is all brand new to him, though, isn't it? So, like, in the UFL, you don't do point after attempt, stuff like that. So, it'll be the first time he's been doing those forever. I think he's got a lot on his plate at the minute. You know, you come into the league, you're fresh in the league, big rule change on the horizon as well. I think you will see a ton of problems with kickoffs over the first few weeks, I think, from everybody. And then I think as they get accustomed to it, they go along, you'll see less there. But with Bates himself, like I say, he's got the big leg ability, which is what you want. The only thing they can do with Bates, and again, getting back to the whole they've got to play NFL reps things, we don't know what he is until he kicks in the NFL. Like, we could bring in loads of competition for him. He could be the best competitor in training camp of all time, but until he goes onto an NFL field in front of 60,000 screaming fans in Ford Field, and there's a 2-point game on the line, game winner, 55 yards, can he knock it in? You don't know what you've got until he makes that kick. So I think it's kind of good how they have reinforced, he did have that rough period. I know they brought Andre Schmidt in very briefly, but then they stuck with him, and they've shown, like, this is your job. I think that's the best thing they can do, to show him the highest level of confidence and say, look, we trust you to do this. Like, that'll be the best way to get him to go out there and make those kicks on a Sunday. So I think they've handled him well. I'm looking forward to it. He's kicked outdoors in preseason from distance, which is obviously the issue. Michigan, he kicks indoors at Ford Field. Can he do it outdoors? Can he do it in the elements? He did it against New York, did it against the Chiefs. So a lot of fears have been allayed by his kicking, which is the main thing. So I think he will be fine. Maybe a few teething issues, but which new kicker doesn't in the league?
For sure. What do you think about the kickoff? Do you think that they're going to go with maybe Jack Fox? Do you just do with Jake Bates and just work through the issues? What do you think? Speak easy, baby.
Because they're trying it out with Jack Fox Saturday, weren't they?
I didn't see him out there, but I heard they potentially could at some point.
Yeah. To be honest, I mean, that's a really good question, honestly. I'm not pressed on a decision either way, but I think just to give Jake the reps, I don't know if you're starting off a little bit further like you do like normal kickoffs or whatnot, but like just to give him the reps so he could practice those accuracy, because you have to be accurate with a new kickoff, right? You have to be within a certain amount of distance and everything else. Yeah, so I think this is best for him to do it, just to get the reps as a field goal kicker, if that makes sense.
I feel you. I feel you right there. They're saying it's Nate Sudfeld, not Field, you dopes. Better get it right, you dopes.
He's nothing no more because he's not on our team.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what we call him anymore.
For sure. I seen a awesome post about the Jared Goff on your Twitter just now, Speakeasy. I think that's a discussion we transition to. Tell the people about this article and your thoughts on it.
So it's an article that I've kind of just kept in touch with like every single year, because it's actually the GMs, the coaches. It's Athletic every year. They poll the I'll get the exact number too. It's on that tweet. Let me find it here for you. I believe it was like 12 GMs. I believe it was like 12 head coaches, and they kind of poll just to get they ranked the quarterbacks. So yeah, it was Sando from the Athletic. He spoke with 7 general managers, 8 head coaches, 12 coordinators, 12 executives, 8 assistant coaches, and 3 others involved in coaching / analytics. So more as like assistant coaches, and they had them give QB tiers and then QB rankings. And Goff was top 10. However, you read the article, a lot of it felt negative. I don't know if you have the Athletic or subscribe to it at all, but I'll read one of the quotes. It's I'm grabbing a random one here too off the tweet. So it's Goff is somewhere between tier 2 and tier 3 for me, an assistant GM said. He has been really good, but I think he has a great system and good personnel. I'm not sure he carries a team. He's a traditional pocket guy that needs protection, but makes all the throws. He lacks mobility, and I'm not sure he can carry the team exclusively. That's just one of the quotes, but a lot of them seem to echo that. Like I said, if you guys follow me at Speaking Sports _ you get the rest of those as well, or subscribe to the Athletic. But I subscribe to that thinking, but it's not a bad thing, because you can win with those guys. Like we were in the NFC Conference Championship with that guy described that way. Like you could say Goff's a system guy. That's okay. We have one hell of a system.
I don't mind system guys, and here's the thing:
we have one hell of a system.
You have a way you build a team, right? And it's just what type of assets you put towards your team, your offense, defense, and special teams. And so we have an amazing offensive line, so you can do that. Teams that maybe don't. Maybe they want to build their team differently. They want to have the mobile quarterback, so they're going to put more assets not towards the offensive line. At the end of the day, what does it really matter if you're winning football games, right? Jared Goff, to me, is clutch. I think a lot of people don't realize how clutch he is, and that should be added to his ranking as well. But I don't care if people call him a system guy. We still winning. I'll take it all day if it gives me dubs. And if I'm holding up a Lombardi trophy, I could care less, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. The whole it's just weird with Goff. I think, he is the right fit for here. And again, that's not a bad thing.
Nope.
Is he the most individually talented quarterback in the league? No, but some guys you'd say might be. I mean, like Tua, people would say it's better. Like, no playoff wins, no nothing. And he's got a really good team around him all the time, and apparently a really good head coach, really good system. He can't do squat. Like, a lot of these guys who are above him have not done as much as what Jared Goff has. And he's now done it with 2 teams. And I think people completely underestimate the whole part about him where he got traded from his team. He got thrown away. We was not wanted and sent to the worst team in the NFL. And he rebuilt himself and that team there. There are, how many quarterbacks do that? Like, how many quarterbacks get traded in the butt end of a deal or released from their team and make it back to a championship game as a bona fide starter? They don't. It's just so rare. So I think nobody takes into account his mental strength. I mean, everyone just talks about arm strength and stuff like that. They don't take into account what's up here as well. And that is where Jared separates himself from a lot of other quarterbacks, because we've seen really talented quarterbacks fail over the years because they've not got it up here. They've got the intangibles, but they don't have the capacity to go through that grind, to go to the bottom, work their way back up. And, you know, and I just think that gets held against it. You know, it's not taken into account, and that's what should rank him in the elite tiers. He's elite at that, and that counts just as much as the physical stuff. But I'm glad we've got him, right? That's all I care about, and hopefully we go the whole way under him.
Kansas City just released wide receiver Cadarius Toney. Would that be an option? Or do you look at that game where all the drops that he had, especially versus Lions, and nearly every single team he plays against, all the drops, is that something that you want to bring on this team?
That guy had more drops than Lil Wayne mixtapes. I mean, no, I'm so fine on Cadarius Toney. I don't want that at all. But real quick, as we get some praise to JG, I think one intangible asset that he brings, especially with this team being as young as it was when he first got here, is you guys have noticed he never seems like too over the top, emotionally happy, mad, whatever it is. He's always got that California cool about him. And I think just like as young as this team was going into like what this was, for him to like remain calm and a lot of those shit moments, and even some of the good ones too, like I think that helped those guys harden a little bit where they don't blink at anything too. They know just to stay calm and go about it. And it even stretches beyond just a single game, as Ant-Man was getting to. I mean, this guy was kicked to the curb from a team that he helped bring to the Super Bowl and had to rebuild himself completely. And I think, I mean, I'm sure you've experienced it, Mike. You've been looking at someone like Herman, like in person, and you're like, damn, this is like Herman Moore right now. This is like, this guy's done so many cool things. And so the things they're saying, you're taking to heart. Well, like JG has that resume now. Like, damn, this is Jared Goff. This guy came back from all this other BS. Like, you know, there's evidence behind the stuff he provides as a leader. And I don't know, he's just a man for the Lions. And I think we're truly going to win a Super Bowl this year, especially if
he literally is the perfect. Like, he got his name chanted, and how everything happened. It was literally the Island of Misfits, and he was the leader of the Island of the Misfits, and then now he is the hero of the Island of Misfits. So yeah, I look at that article, and look, I get it. I totally understand. I'm actually not going to argue that. But I think every situation is different. Like, if you had Josh Allen right now, he does all this great stuff, but he throws a ton of picks. And how many championship games has he been in? How many Super Bowls he's been in? Like, so you can always nitpick, and I think that's what I would say. Like, Jared Goff, he's just perfect for here. He's the Detroit Lion right now, and I'm perfectly fine with it. No hate. There is none of that out there, for sure. So again, we're waiting for more cuts to occur. Stephen Gilmore was released earlier. A lot of players were released. The Shane Zylstra one had me. I was shocked in that. I didn't think that James Mitchell deserved to make this roster. Maybe he still doesn't. But I thought it was between James Mitchell and Shane Zylstra, and I thought Shane Zylstra did the better job. And Mitchell Agude, he was released, and I actually think Ukwu was surpassing him. And so what do you think about the Mitchell Agude being released, Ant-Man, and then the Speakeasy baby?
I mean, I think you nailed it there. I think Ukwu was showing more as a pass rusher. He's been quite good in the last few games, and I do like what he potentially brings to the table. Again, our problem has not been defending the run. Like, we had one of the best run defenses in the league last year. Our problem has been hitting the quarterback with a guy not named Aiden Hutchinson. So I think it will behoove us better to take more guys who can pass rush this year and try and get these guys in to help finish off some of these plays. I think Aiyuk will probably make it back to the practice squad. I reckon we'll see a fair bit of him this year. But I do want to. It's just personally me. I like the guys who can pass rush and can get home. And I mean, look what he did against the Steelers. He launched their left tackle like a lawn dart into the quarterback and made him fumble it, and we got it off him. Like, the dude's mad strong, and he can get to the quarterback. I really like that. So I still expect to see a good day, but I would like it if Uku could make it with Houston. As Speakeasy said earlier, take two of them instead of an extra quarterback. Like, let's just go heavy. Get them third and long, send them all out there, send them wild, get some sacks, turn it over. That's what you do.
Therese Fountain just released, cut, whatever you want to call it, no longer on this football team. Speakeasy, thoughts on that?
I just feel bad for the guy. I mean, I never got to talk to him or anything like that, but he's making a name for himself, and he's 28, I believe, 27, 28. He's up there in age, and he was looking to be like one of the cooler stories in all training camps. But, when we hit in-game action, he wasn't good at what he was great at in practice, if that makes sense. Like, in practice, he made his name, I feel like, in a lot of those contested catches because he didn't get much separation. But given those opportunities in the game, he didn't capitalize. And unfortunately, it's just, we got to sign Noah Brown now.
It's so unfortunate that we got to try to get Noah Brown or some sort of receiver on here. Look, I like Therese Fountain in the offseason, but he didn't do it when the lights were on. And if you're not doing it when the lights are on, it means absolutely nothing. And it is a tradition, and it's been like this every year. Players we see break out, they do it in training camp and practice, and for whatever reason, when the lights are on, they absolutely just drop the ball. That's what I got right there. So, I mean, look, man, I wish him nothing but the best. Maybe one day he'll catch a pass in preseason. Maybe we'll have one of these days. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but it may occur. We changed up a long snapper too, so we got a different long snapper here. Man, I literally was so shocked that we have a different long snapper and a new one. I don't know, this is a game changer here. Speakeasy. I don't know if we can win a game with a different long snapper.
Well, we should be good, man. I think what you grab out of this guy too is play linebacker in that first preseason game, and that's just I knew. I had this conversation with Dion the other day. I kind of knew at then that he's going to be our long snapper. If that doesn't scream Dan Campbell guy, if my long snapper can also play linebacker, who cares? We're actually using him or playing him at it. Just know that he can do it. That's a Dan Campbell guy, And
yeah.
I mean, seriously.
I'm waiting to see DJ Reader's wide receiver 5.
But yeah, dude, no, that's a Dan Campbell dude. And look at the situation, maybe like a field goal gets blocked or whatever it may be. Like, that's a guy that can make a play for you,
Yeah. Abraham Beauplan released their Ant-Man. So the plan is not making the roster. He probably he's a practice squad candidate. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, he's, like I said, I've been really impressed by the linebackers full stop in preseason. Ty Summers, Adrian Beauplan, Neiman when he played a little bit. I said the problem they had is they were walking into a room that was already set when the season ended. If you're looking down our starting guys, maybe you say, Malcolm's, maybe linebacker 5, whatever, but he's an elite special teamer who's a really good starter. So you've got to be better than that if you want to get to linebacker 5. And, you're not going to do that in 2 weeks of an offseason, which is what Beauplan's had. But he's done enough to get himself back here. And these guys have really worked their tails off. So if you can get him and Summers back, then if you have some injuries in the linebacker room, if you need to bring some of these guys up, like I say, you're going to have very strong people coming up to be able to plug in the gaps. So, I hope he does make it back. They've earned it in a very short space of time. They've worked the tails off. They've earned it. So, hopefully we do see him back. As very quickly for the long snapper, that is a running joke amongst our panel on our show. Their long snappers are, but one of our guys has already bought his jersey, so you will see one Hogan Hatton jersey at least during the year. So yeah, we could probably lay claim to being the only pod out there to have a Hogan Hatton jersey. Well done.
Let's go.
Dude, there's literally 4 people in the world that has that jersey, and one of them is now you. That is a limited edition. I would frame that mug get it signed, and keep it for years. Devin Davis says, #FGB. Who y'all's early Super Bowl prediction and who's the sleeper team that might make it? I had the Lions and Texans Super Bowl. That's what I got. Sleeper team. Well, I don't know if Texans would be a sleeper team. Maybe some people. But how about the Atlanta Falcons? They're a sleeper. I feel like they've done a little bit better in the NFC. What do you got, Easy, and then the Ant?
That's kind of where I was at too. Texans and the Lions. I'm not even give a sleeper, man. I'm speaking the Lions into existence.
Yeah,
the Lions will win the Super Bowl, man. I'm sorry, I can't. Like maybe maybe stuff changes. Maybe we'll kind of have the conversation then. But I'm speaking the Lions into existence until then.
Yeah. What about you, Ant Man?
Certainly the Lions for one. As for the AFC, I'm not sure. I feel like maybe the Ravens could be the ones this year. I feel like that would be like the ultimate redemption to get the Ravens in the Super Bowl and beat them. I don't know. I still call Texas the sleeper team just for now. While you've got the Ravens around, while you've got the Chiefs around, while you've got maybe the Bills around, they are still one of the smaller fish in there. And could they do it 2 years in a row? Especially now they got that prima donna in the wide receiver room with them. So, I'd say us versus Ravens, us beating them would be perfect.
That amazing thing. So Brandon Aiyuk's been rumored to be potentially traded, right? I even heard a rumor from yesterday that he could be traded today to the Steelers. If he is traded, or if Aiyuk is not a 49er for whatever reason, how has that changed the trajectory of the NFC? Speak easy, baby.
Yeah, I think because another team that has been speculated, and I only say this because if he started vlogging recently or something like that on the YouTube channel, where his girls filming him, dude, he's out there. I don't even know. I don't think this should be allowed. I don't know how it's allowed. He's watching Jaden Daniels practice tape with the Commanders. How is it even allowed? And I guess they both played at Arizona State, so they're pretty close. And obviously they got rid of Dotson. They got an extra third-round pick in that exchange. I think the Commanders could be a surprise team to land Aiyuk if he leaves the 49ers. And I think that would just make sense for the state of that franchise. Like, you got your rookie quarterback. Why don't you go get him a piece you can rely on and see what you could cook up? But in terms of any threats to what the Detroit Lions got going on, like, no, I don't, it help us, if anything, because obviously the 49ers would have offloaded them. Still very efficient offense. I think if Ricky Pearsall can stay healthy, he'll be a threat too, but it's nothing but good news for the Detroit Lions. Even if the Commanders get them, they're not going to do anything with them for a while.
CeeDee Lamb got paid a lot of money. Now, Cowboys fans think they're going to win the Super Bowl. And CeeDee Lamb's the greatest player ever exists. So, Ant-Man, Dak Prescott, he's probably going to get a $5 trillion contract. What do you think about the Dallas Cowboys and compared to the Lions? Are they a threat to the Lions? I mean, they just paid CeeDee Lamb $38 million a year.
I don't think so. I mean, you look at them and look how we do our business, right? We treat our players right. We get their deals done early. We pay them fair. All their guys are still waiting to be paid. You struggle to see how they've got to pay Dak. They've got to pay Micah Parsons. Their laundry list of needs for people getting paid goes on, but they're a team that, and I put this more in their head coach than anything. He's a choker. When it comes to the way the Packers just came and rolled on them last year in their home, they should have been ashamed, and they've not really strengthened terribly this year. They just don't have the grit mentality that we do. They're regular season bullies like the Dolphins, but when it comes to it and another team hits them back, the capability is just not there. So, I mean, great for CeeDee Lamb, great payday for him. I mean, Jamar Chase will get paid soon. Amon-Ra's deal is going to carry on sliding down, and it's going to look like an absolute steal very, very soon. So, I don't put stock in them being trouble for us. We got to go there this year, though, haven't we? Are we going to go back there this year? I think we'll go there and beat them this year.
Hi, guys. Nigel from the United Kingdom. I feel Tom Kennedy was reliable, dependable, always where he should be, never makes the 53-man roster, wrong body type, but Isaiah Williams, that's much better than Tom. Well, he's much younger than Tom. Tom's been on the practice squad since 1900. Isaiah Williams is bringing a little bit more to the table. I feel like he does in special teams, and that's better. I love Tom Kennedy for what he is as a practice squad training camp guy. but not as someone I'm going to rely on game day. Isaiah Williams, he's impressed me. He can play multiple parts of this team, and I think he's made the team, and I'd like to see him make this roster. Same with Sione Vaki. So what do you think about Isaiah Williams, Sione Vaki? Speak easy, baby.
Man, I love Sione Vaki. That guy, he's just now playing like the running back position for real, at the NFL level. And he's obviously showcasing some things that not everybody possesses. His contact balance is, I don't even know the word for it. It's rare to say the least, but I think he could provide to be something special. I think if you want to talk about surprise cuts, I don't think it happens, but I think Craig Reynolds could be one of the surprise cuts because what you saw is Sione Vaki. I don't think it happens, but maybe. What was the other question? TK85 or Isaiah Williams? I'm super excited for it too. He was I think one of the highest or the highest paid UDFA for the Detroit Lions. And I think he showcased what he could do. I think going back to some of the comments we read on Jared Goff, some of the guys you want around him because there's guys that can make plays after the catch. And Isaiah Williams, I think we saw a little bit in the Chiefs game. Obviously, you know him as a kick returner too. So that's the type of player that he is. I think he fits what we got going on, and he performed too well for the Detroit Lions to cut him. He forced their hand. It felt like they didn't want to keep him because it was redundant to Khalif Raymond, but he outperformed everybody else, and you have nobody else in this roster currently.
Vaki is awesome, man.
He's awesome.
Really impressed with his shiftiness, how he stops on a dime, can go really quick. He breaks ankles like, holy God. Imagine if he was around this offensive line. And I compared him to Theo Riddick as a kind of a wide receiver a while ago. I think he's better than that. Like, he's shown a lot to me, man. This is a guy who's definitely going to make the team, and I think he should be playing sometimes on game day.
Yeah, like I've been saying, you should probably use him as a receiver. He ain't going to see much work as running back 4. Right, because Gibbs and Monty are going to get a lot of the carries there. Craig's going to come in for his situation. So why not? You've got a little bit of a shortage at receiver. If you want to show some different looks, hell, put him and Gibbs in the backfield together. Like, I mean, what the hell's coming there? Who's drifting out wide? Who are you giving the ball to? You can make some really fun looks with him in whilst he's not a starter yet. And his newfound ability at receiver, like I say, it just opens so many doors. Like, people are not going to be watching him. They're going to be watching Amon-Ra. They're going to be watching J-Mo. They're going to be watching whichever of the two are in the backfield of the senior guys. They're going to be looking at Laporta. They're not going to be looking at the little guy we got out of Utah 5th round this year, and it's max of him being in a really good setup, getting a lot of favorable one-on-ones, getting some good yardage, and say use him. He's not going to be used much as a running back initially, so get him in that receiving room, mix your looks up, makes life easier for us, and you're actually quite excited about what we could do with him.
Yeah, Terrace Marshall was released as well. Yes, I do believe Isaiah Williams makes the 53, and he should make the 53. I think he deserved to make that roster. What about Ty Summers, man? I was impressed with him. Speakeasy. He's one of these guys that put up 9 tackles this last game. Is he a shot to make the roster, maybe, or is he a practice squatter?
Who was it you said?
Ty Summers, linebacker. I was impressed with that guy.
Yeah. Listen, I just want to real quick, and I did this in yesterday's show too for the heavyweights, but I just want to show some love, man, to Terrell Williams as a defensive line coach. He's got every single unit of this defensive line performing, and I think you know what I'm saying? He deserves it, man. And Calvin Shepard's good as hell at his job too. But I think if you've noticed this entire preseason, I feel like every single set of linebackers also looked good. But I think it's because the defensive line was everywhere. A lot, it opened up a lot of things for those linebackers. So they all look good. So I think you could probably afford to cut him, and he survives and makes it back to the practice squad.
Yeah.
But he's still good. All those guys at the line. I mean, Deron Gill before he got hurt was looking amazing too. But I think it's more so to speak on the defensive line, Terrell Williams and maybe a little bit Brad Holmes, getting Wingo in there. Levi didn't play, but he was back. Pascal. I mean, the defensive line looked really good. And I think it helped the linebackers look stellar as well.
I like Summers. I know he is cut, guys, but should he have made the practice? Should he make the practice squad? That was the thought right there. Should he? I felt like he did enough. I didn't think he was going to make the active roster, but practice squad for sure. What do you think about
I want a good to make that practice squad too. We don't really have any other Sams.
Caden Davis as well? You got Caden Davis, who is released. Should he be a practice squad guy? Donovan Peoples-Jones. No. What do you think about anybody else that was released? Mitchell Agude.
That's the one for me. I want him on the practice squad just because a while back, Aaron Glenn was talking about how valuable Derek Barnes' skill set is, his ability to rush the passer and drop back into coverage. And we've tried so many different experiences there from James Houston, Matthew Betts. It sounded like they're going to start giving Uku some reps there at Sam too, and none of it seemed to work. Agude played that in college, or so at least he projects to be that at the NFL level if he makes it here. So I think, and he was on practice squad last year too, but I think we just need that extra Sam body in case something happens to Derek Barnes.
Stephen Gilmore, should he make the practice squad, Ant-Man?
He should have made the 53. I don't know if we'll get him back, but I would love him back on our roster because I still believe he's going to be part of a good rotation one day, and you want those guys ready to go off your practice squad. So if he's happy to come back and wait, and then hopefully he can move up into one of Vildor's spots, etc., one of these guys, and be a younger, fresher face there. But honestly, I really like the player. I would just like to see him go somewhere and do well because I really like him. But if he gets back to us, terrific.
No new cuts as of yet that have occurred besides the ones that we've talked about. Where can they find your channel, The Ant-Man?
You can find us at Roar of the Lions UK. We're a group of Detroit Lions fans from across the pond. Usually go live on Mondays. Actually going live in about half an hour. We're going to be doing a stream during cuts. So if you want to come by and say hi, then please do so. But yeah, you can find us at Roar of the Lions UK.
We got to speak easy, man. Where can they find? We all know you're on Woodward Sports. Are you going to be doing some content some point on here? Well,
yeah, I mean, Alan, you might be getting active here a little bit during the day. So I'm not selling cars anymore. So yeah, I might be on LNU channel with you guys a little bit. Make sure you follow me at SpeakingSports_. I'll be making that announcement every time we're going live. Today is a little bit spur of the moment. I just got home. I saw the DM for the boys. I said, let me hop on real quick. Here we are.
For sure. Speak easy, man. He's awesome. Spend more racks. There's going to be content made on here. I promise, man. I'm not holding nothing back. I'm waiting for the word. Once the word is good, you guys are going to be getting everybody on here. And that's Speak Easy, baby. That's the Ant-Man. That's Spend More Racks. That's Spirit of Detroit. That's Dan, Lions Talk Live, Everything King, Dose of Dion, and his Sione Vaki. He won't be on here, but the take of Sione Vaki. But with that said, folks, I got to leave you with the greatest things I've ever spoken, and this is.
Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless. A sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it. And I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring.